starting up pretty soon. Just send out the ping. Get going shortly. How's voice volume against generic background music volume? Hey, Purple. Second YouTube stream. I did a music one a week or so, maybe 2 weeks ago. First art one on YouTube, though. Hey, Grandma. I'll go ahead. I think I'm going to try turning down the audio volume just a little bit. We'll see how the background is. There's a bit of background on my own mic actually. Why don't I turn off my fan here 1 sec? Okay, I got the fan off, got the window shut. It's gonna get about as warm as it gets in here. Just in the hot seat for a little stream. My voice is very low. Could just be my voice. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Just making an ever so slight adjustment here. Okay, we're gonna give it a try at that. See how that generally is. I got some water, I got some tea, should be good for a little bit. Almost can't hear me. I don't know if I can turn up my mic that much. I've got it showing as coming through pretty loud here on my side. I don't know if that's something on YouTube that it quiets it down. Okay, this is what it's going to be. Hopefully that's okay. If not, I'll have to keep fiddling and kind of listen back myself. So let me flip over to a sprite. Yeah, okay, I've got this set up right. So we're going to be working with Mini Blue today, which is just a shorthand for this kind of tiny version of blue. We're only working with a few layers here, not the crazy amount that I normally do, because this is a much more simple design. We've got our hat, we've got our head, we've got our body, which is also the robes, and I do have the legs separate since the legs largely don't move. And there's a little static background that I've got here as well, so we can kind of see the shadow while we're animating. Go ahead and let that animate as well. So there's a little idle animation here. There's a set of animations for each 4 direction right now, where blue goes from idle to doing a little hop in a certain direction with like a into the hop, the actual hop, which is 4 frames that can loop as long as I need, and then kind of an out of the hop. So it's like hopping down, hopping up, hopping right, and I can hold kind of within that for as long as I need. I am just starting to rig all of this up into Godot right now. And finally, I'm just kind of a moment from being able to do some actual gameplay GIFs of Mini Blue jumping around. And that's going to be the norm for room transitions now, with the mini-map looking kind of more like it is behind here, where the tiles are slightly defined by a grid. There's a lot more detail than there used to be, and I've softened a lot of the edges. So now it's kind of like a little board game style. Where they get kind of scribbly filled in as you move around and explore. And there's a couple things that need to be handled here. One of them being, I think we do multiple modes for this. So I've got blue here. Then I'll jump to the end where we're actually going to be working. I'll throw a tag in. We're gonna call this hat mode. So if someone would like to see with more precision what's going on in the minimap, we're going to have a hat mode where blue collapses with the hat. I think just going to kind of like eat them, and it'll be easier to see like kind of the top connections between rooms, and it'll skip most of the fun animation, just be a hat sitting on the board. And so we'll have like a idle 2 hat, and then hat mode will just be, I think, largely static, probably almost very little animation. And then hat mode back to idle. How do you do multiple loop sections? So you start off just with like, you do the big one, and then if you do another one that is completely within the big one, it'll do a second loop section kind of underneath. So if I press enter to like preview while I'm in the larger loop, it'll show like into, during, and then out of within the big loop. But if I am in the little loop when I start, it'll animate within the little loop. That's something I only kind of figured out recently. Sprite has so much like power that I don't utilize, honestly. So yeah, I think we're pretty much good to get started. I'm very happy with the look of the character at this scale. I think we've got a really good amount of detail. It's pretty cute. So first thing we're going to try is doing this hat mode. So we'll have a little animation of the hat basically like eating blue. And then after that, I want to try a teleportation animation, which will be like turning it to some kind of like colorful magic ball. And then the ball will rocket across the map as it tweens. And then it'll turn back into blue. And that one's going to be tricky because not necessarily from an art perspective, I just actually don't know what I want that teleporting animation to be like. So we'll probably figure that out live when we get there. Yeah, so hat mode, I've got 2 frames here. I just stole a copy of the idle for one. And I think let's just start by removing everything else and taking that hat frame down and seeing how it's going to look just sitting there. Like, does it need a smaller shadow? That's too high. That's too awkward for the shadow. This could be okay. Maybe I'll shrink the shadow when the hat comes down. Just pull the shadow like kind of in a pixel on all sides. I'm not gonna be checking Discord while I'm streaming Karama, but I'll see you later. I am reading YouTube chat. I'm not reading any Discord chat right now. So going from this to this, I think this seems fine as far as icon on the minimap goes, other than like tweaking the shadow to be in a little bit. So let's see about how we want to kind of have this warp in. Our animation style, we don't use very many frames. So I feel like a 4-frame completely into eaten by hat is probably good enough. Which most likely means the last one is going to be like the hat doing like an out frame where it kind of pushes out. Yeah, let's block it out actually. So, okay, that should be easier to keep it in focus. We're going to create a new tag that is just hat here for this final frame. This idle animation doesn't actually count. I'm just kind of keeping it here for easy reference. This is actually when I like rig it in game, I'm going to ignore the first frame in the big loop and assume it's coming from the idle. And so it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then into the hat. So I think this should probably be something like, let's shrink down my brush here. No, shrink down. Shrink. I'm pressing 2. Don't put in 24, please. Thank you, Sprite. Thank you. So we've got like our hat here. Basically, that's very bad and rough. And I think the hat should kind of like go up a little bit for a moment. like it's pulling kind of in and upwards, and then I think like shoot down in a way that almost totally covers blue like that, as like a big smear animation probably. This should be mostly flat, mostly out, I think. And then almost the same as the regular hat here, which I'll just quickly do a really bad job tracing and steal that frame. For this one, I would bring it in a few pixels and stretch it up a few pixels. So overall it should be like, let me hold on the start and end frames just for the purpose of kind of viewing this. So something like that where it just goes like sploot. You can do control mouse wheel to change brush sides on the go. Yeah, I'm really touching my mouse, and I haven't really rigged up my tablet to like have the special buttons or whatever. That's fine, but I usually got one hand on my tablet drawing pen, and then one on the keyboard, as I do right now. So I think this should go okay. Let's pause there, and so first frame probably the body doesn't move. Second frame most of the body is gone. Can even delete the head at that point because it won't be there. Head and body will be gone there, and legs. Cool. So I don't think I really need the red one for the reference purposes, just to get kind of a sense of what animation is going to work out here. So we had this kind of stretching upwards. So let's try that with our hat. Start off by just pulling it up. And I think for visibility we want like 2 pixels up on this, maybe 1 pixel in on each side, something like that. It's always tough with how thin this style is, like how little space you actually have for drawing these lines and stuff. So that looks okay, but that part of the hat should definitely be changed. We want this to kind of show that it's been stretched here. Something like that. It's probably okay. We'll see how we'll see how this plays out in the animation. I think when I'm actually doing that, it's going to be that's going to show how it all kind of really is. So why don't I flip on onion skin for a moment? And okay, so that's where the hat was. Let's go back up to 2. And I'll do this in a different color so it's easier to kind of tell apart. I think this pink is mostly okay. The red was a little too tall, so I want it to be down slightly from where that point went up, so it's kind of clear the point went up for a moment. Let's try and make it curve out like that. Honestly, I should be working in symmetrical mode here for what I'm doing. A lot of my style I try and deliberately avoid symmetry, but in this case it's pretty good to have. Because no one's going to pay too much attention to these small sprites like frame by frame or anything like that. The animations be quite quick. Just thin out my lines a little bit there. I'm gonna move this side in a pixel, move this side in a pixel. I think that should be okay. This is going to be a very kind of silly looking frame. I'm just going to fill it in like that. And why not also have the body kind of be moved down and be shrunk in slightly. So our hat bottom is just the slightest bit too long to be able to still see any detail there. So how can we adjust that? This is a really nice curve. Maybe like that. And I did notice this little bit of asymmetry here. Don't think I didn't. Let's cut that in. Okay, we should finally have some proper symmetry there. Okay, so the body. We are moving in. I'm not worrying too much about what the body looks like kind of behind this frame. So that should look vaguely like it's getting kind of swooped up. I could move that back out. We'll see how it plays out here. And we should add our hat lines. Just like that should be fine. So we're missing some frames, but the general idea I think works well. Get those two last frames in, and we should have ourselves an animation. So that's where our hat was. Do a little curve into the edge. That was less of a curve than I wanted. Oh, this happened last time too. You guys can't see the preview window here on the stream because it's technically a different window now that it's got that pop-out feature. So maybe next time I'll try and stream my actual screen one instead of Sprite so you can see the preview window there. Okay. So that's looking okay. I'm gonna fill that in. I think that should be fine. That kind of flattened them out there because it's just for a moment. And now I should kind of come out of pixel perfect mode, or sorry, symmetrical mode, and help let the point become visible there. Like that. And this is almost going to be our last frame. Actually, you know what? I can actually reuse this frame that we worked on over here. Just make sure it's in the right spot. So let's see how this all looks as an animation. not bad. Zoom out a little bit. I think there's a little bit of cleaning up to do for sure. That widest frame looks like it might be just the slightest bit too wide. Do I use the curve tool or not at all for your sprites? Not really. I mostly just like to eyeball it. That's partly because like if I want to do a smooth curve, I feel like eyeballing it is like the way that I grew up doing pixel art, and I feel pretty comfortable doing that. But for this style, actually, most of the time, imperfection really is important to it. If everything is kind of too perfectly lined, it actually does start to look a little bit weird. So I have to leave some of the mistakes in there. I have to kind of prevent myself from erasing everything that's like wrong or like imperfect curve-wise, because it does add a lot to the overall feel to have those little imperfections here and there. All right, so that's a good amount of loops. I think that frame's good, that frame's good. Maybe I should add the slightest bit of kind of hat edge here. Like that. And this frame I think is too wide. I think that's where we went wrong. Let me try. No, I don't need canvas tool. Thanks. Nope. Bye. Can I try that? Is that alright? There's a lot of black edge there now. It does still seem overall too wide. So I'm going to need to bring all of that in a pixel and bring all of that in a pixel. So this is also like the widest frame, this big eat. That seems to work okay. I'm a bit skeptical, so let me go through frame by frame. So hat reach up is good, hat go down is good. This frame where the band of the hat goes low before kind of coming back up, I think doesn't quite work. I can really clearly see it on the preview being like in the wrong place. Unless I flipped that on this frame to have it kind of go back up. And that's slightly better animated, but gives the wrong impression. So I'm going to move that up. And let's just fill this out. That should be okay. Yeah, that's definitely the smoothest of any of the animations we've had so far. Hey Mark, so why is the hat eating mini blue? We are switching from blue jumps around on the mini map here, where it's a little more like kind of blocking the way, to a secondary mode where it's just the hat icon that moves around. And that's fine. If people want kind of more visibility over the whole mini map, you can do that. You'll probably just miss out on a lot of the cute animations, and that's okay if people want to do that. It's not really too much work for me to support this, but it is visible on like the tile to the right here. If blue's staying in the middle, you're like blocking the top exit a lot with the hat. Yeah, this is Wizards are like hermit crabs. That's true. Here we are in crab mode. I think that's you've discovered something very insightful there, Shaq. Thank you. All right, and then this is Scrabdackle. We animate everything, so I'm gonna go ahead and give the hat an idle animation too. We don't need the head, body, leg frames. And I'll just make sure the hat frames here are in the right spot. I think that's up a pixel. Yes, it is. This does look a little bit weird on its own without... Maybe the hat shouldn't be animated. It does look a little bit strange with no character under it. Yeah. The hat might need to have the slightest bit of animation if it like slides to the left, right, top, bottom kind of thing. But I'm okay with leaving it here and then having a come out of hat mode animation getting us back to our idle. We gotta go. See you, Purple. Thanks for hanging out. So the main thing I want to try first is always kind of like the obvious of, does this work fine if I play it in reverse? Let's extend hat mode here. And I don't think it will, but it'll be a starting point for us. That might actually be fine. I think the only thing is this first frame here, that's like our into frame, our first step. Probably something should happen with the coat. So let's see if I can steal one of the idle down frames. And let's steal the body from that frame and see how that is. It might need to be moved up a pixel. In this instance, I might need to steal a different frame. It going out for like one frame like that, or sorry, for one pixel like that, just for the frame is probably too much. So let me see if there's a different cloak frame from maybe from the idle that can be stolen. Can I maybe steal this? Let's find out. That's probably about right. And reuse that over here on the out of. Now, does the head need to be down slightly for this? It does read slightly better if the head is if the head moves too, but it is also more visually blurry here because you lose that corner edge. So we want to sustain that corner, which means I think we're just going to be shrinking the face here. And we'll zoom back out, see how that is. No, it doesn't work as well as I thought. So let's go back to what we were originally doing with the head down. We're going to adjust the body instead. And that will be cleaner because we should see that pixel here on the right. That pixel will be moving up and down in those 2 frames, which would help kind of clarify the movement. And maybe we smear this up too. Maybe we smear this up. Wrong layer, head layer. Yeah, oh, woo for sure, that's gotta be better. When release? In a year. But there should be a demo in a little bit. We need blue setting or dozing off if you're idle for a while. Like every game that has animations. Thank you for pointing that out. That's a very good idea. I think this is kind of the right place for that type of charm. So blue sitting probably works quite well. Sitting a little bit dozy. But do we do that next or do our teleport next? Because I'm very pleased with what we've got here. Oh, I just noticed I did not copy over the head frame to the exit animation. Okay, so that works great. I think that's nice and clean. We maintain our kind of animation sensibilities. I'm still unsure exactly what the teleport is going to look like. So that could be fun to kind of work out on stream, or the sitting animation could be fun to work out on stream. I think we could have time for both. I'm really curious about the teleport. All right, we're going to do the teleport. That is just how it is. Okay, so new animation, new tag. Teleport. So in the game, which I don't have handy at the moment to kind of demonstrate, but you go to a save point and rocks start kind of lifting up around you, or just kind of miscellaneous detritus from the area, and they start to circle you, and at that point you can use that to save. Some save points that should be visually distinct are going to act as teleport spots as well. I know it's a bit corny, or maybe not corny, like it's a bit done to have your save points be the place that you teleport from, but it works really well for good reason. I'm reinventing a lot of things. I don't think I'm going to reinvent that. I could always do a system where there's like a teleport mechanic that is just near a save point. We'll see. But I think it's really easy or interesting to play with like those spinning rocks, have them spin faster, have them turn into like kind of like a spiral around you and tightening up. I don't think I have a GIF handy of that, but that is an animation that I built quite a while ago. So I think teleporting is going to be probably kind of similar to like the Mega Man style teleport, where you kind of floosh to white with like blue edges. So I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to have you kind of turn into an energy ball, and then when the minimap actually tweens, when the minimap like moves from where you currently are to the room that you're going to, it'll do like a whoosh with the camera across the map. And I want to see that energy ball rather than have the player like totally just disappear into it's more interesting to see something that represents the player. And then kind of teleport in from that like ball of energy. And I can add some fun stuff once it's in there, like particles and stuff, so you like leave a cool visible trail on the minimap. How long have you been animating stuff? I don't know really. I guess a long time. I didn't really get that into like traditional animation styles until this project. Like I've learned a lot of things for Scrabdackle that I'm now quite comfortable with. That I just didn't really bother with before. So like my animating for the purpose of this game is way better than it used to be. So let me just try the same thing here where I draw what I want the end result to be. Let's get rid of body and legs. And I think I kind of want... I'm tempted to make the shape of the little energy ball thing be like Blue's head and hat, but would that kind of undersell the power of the magic here and make it seem kind of too I don't know, like it is a cartoonish style, it is a cute style, but I don't want to fall into like cutesy too hard. Super Mario World keyhole animation. No, I don't think I'm going to do anything like that because that really doesn't match the like everything else to do with the game. It is going to be like a magical effect, and the mini map is going to stay in place the whole time. The location on the mini map will move as the camera moves, but it's going to stay like looking the same. And that's something I'm like really excited about, is not just changing to where it should be or like doing a what's it called? Like a transition animation type thing. I might need to have something that's like some kind of better than a fade out thing on the main screen, but for the mini map, it's gonna stay live. So let me play around here. Hide the background. Let's do a new layer. Let's call this energy. And I'm torn between having this be like something like that. I don't think would be the right direction to go as far as energy ball, because then it just looks like Blue turns into their own head. So I could do something like this. But I don't know. That still feels kind of like unclear as far as the kind of direction I want to go in. Could have it just be the hat, but I think this is going to just be, I think it's just going to have to be like a blob of energy, to be honest. So let's pick a brighter edge for this. And make some kind of little egg shape of energy. Maybe it shouldn't be an egg shape. Maybe it is cleaner if it is just straight up a circle. Like the circle can do a little bit of like squeezing in and out and stuff, but I don't know. When I think like kind of like a compressed energy deal, a circle is really what I go to. So let's just get a regular circle going. Probably make it a little bit bigger so there's just enough room for like nuance. So there we've got it's too sharp on the edges, but that should be okay. I want a little bit more from this. So that's fairly large actually relative to blue. I don't know if that's the best idea. But it should work okay. It is quite visible. There'll be like magic effects on the screen, stuff like that. Mork, you're so excited. So I think in the game I'm going to make the edges of this blob change colors a little bit, like kind of fade between different colors. Like different shades of blue probably. I think I'll still keep it blue. And then the fill still being white. And I don't think I'll do anything like this, like giving it eyes or whatever. So let's create a ball idle for this ball of light. And make it the correct frame duration. And I'm just playing around here. I think there's going to be two kind of long held frames. So let's do one that's like out by a little bit and shorter here. And I should be able to basically just reuse this for that frame, except that I will want to rotate it. Is that still centered? No, it is not centered. And it's too high, so put it down. So there's a Gucci ball of energy. And I don't think that's the right direction. I think that's too like kind of like a Play-Doh squishy thing. I think in this case, even though I really like squash and stretchy kind of stuff, I think this is going to need to be like a shrink and grow rather than a... Yeah, thinking about that out loud, that's definitely got to be what it is. So we'll have our biggest frame. I'm just copying these across. So let's actually call this kind of large orb the biggest one. Yeah, imagine actually naming all of your layers. Yeah, I can. We have a lot of layers going on sometimes. By we, I mean me. It's not a problem. It's very healthy, I assure you. Please. Alright, so I'm just going to skim off the edges here for the in-between. And I think I'm actually going to link that across. And skim off 2 pixels for this. How is this looking? We've got our large frame held. No, I've mucked this all up, haven't I? Yeah, I've got the frames held for the wrong numbers. So we want double length for the biggest and smallest frames. Yeah, that's more like what we're looking for. It is a little bit boring, to be honest, but you know, for like a pulsating energy dealie. He left for 10 minutes and the hat got replaced by orb. Yeah, that's the hat eaters seek power. They seek to eat the. I want to make a Dragon Ball joke, except I don't really know much about Dragon Ball, and I don't know how many there are, and most details about the show. I know they go like, ah, a lot. Okay, so this could be maybe a little bit cleaner. It's a little bit erratic. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw in a little bit more time. That's not it. Undo. I'll leave it there. I'm gonna play with that later. There's no harm in just tweaking that a little bit. But I think I am gonna try and make that look more like magically pulsating rather than like steadily pulsating, which has more of like a kind of creepy organic feel. We'll get there. We'll clean it up. So now we've got to actually get blue there. So I'm not too worried about what height the orb is at. I'm going to adjust the orb's height afterwards. I think let's focus on animating blue first, and I think we want blue to kind of like be pulled upwards and like thin out as they are pulled upwards. So this would be a good point to like compare with the hop down frames, because I feel like there might be a lot of similar frames here. Probably use a lot of similar hat frames for this. I don't think I want blue to be like in a stance as this happens. I think it should definitely be like they're just pulled up. So let's just try this one and see how it goes. How often do I save at work? Comes and goes. Sometimes I save incessantly. Sometimes I forget to for quite a while. You know, it's all part of not having your act together, really. Okay. So contrary to what I just said, there does need to be like blue needs to be leaning down by like a pixel and like kind of posed for like one pixel out on either side. I think, and there's presumably a very good frame for that. Yeah, I'm just gonna steal this wholesale. So this should be like the slightest bit downwards, and then the next frame should be like substantially more upwards. Maybe here, but let's stretch blue out a little bit. Okay, we're going to do that. And at the end of all of this, I'm going to adjust the colors. How long have I been animating and drawing? Animating, I'm not 100% sure. Drawing quite a while, but I'm no like pixel art expert or anything like that. I've done it as a hobby for quite a long time. Gotten okay at pixel art. For hand-drawn stuff, I haven't really tried animating that before, where it's like kind of line-based, line work. Definitely want, let's hide the hat for a moment. I think the head needs to be squished in here. Nope, sorry eye, I'm sorry eye. You need that eye. think the hat's got to be, I might even want like that frame for the hat over here. So obviously, it's a bit of an abrupt transition there still. And then this is probably the last like recognizably like humanoid frame. And I think this is the point where, you know, I need this stuff to be basically squished together and stop being recognizable. So I think this is the point where I need to just draw over all of it as in like the energy frame. Yeah, let's go there now. I think this is another scenario where I want that pixel perfect mode. Should be something like that. And then this needs to shift one more time before it becomes the idol of the sphere, I think. So I've got onion skinning on. Let's kind of merge this stuff together a little bit here. Something like that. Turn off onion skinning and do some cleanup and see how that looks. I'm just doing this the same way I do pretty much everything for the game. You know, I don't necessarily know what I'm doing going in. I'm just cleaning it up as I go. One more intermediary frame before it becomes this like idol would be great, I think. And we're gonna go back to doing what we had done before, where we squish it in and lengthen it up. Do we need those pixels on the side? I don't think so. I think we can go without them for that. We should now be able to move up the ball idol. Yeah. So the color's quite abrupt. Yeah, it's not planned to flash immediately. I'll be doing the colors at the very end. Shape-wise is what we're working on right now. Color shift should happen quickly. 1, 2, 3. Should it be that quickly? Probably needs an extra frame. Let's start with softening the edges. And I know the legs are not super visible, but still need to be clicked. I'm going to try turning this quite transparent and then just basically like doing a give it a couple clicks type approach. Like that seems to work fine. That's 2 clicks of each. And can I give the body like that color of blue? Yep. So that's still too much too fast. But it's better. And it can be adjusted. I think this is the frame that needs the most adjustment. So let's take that energy layer. Maybe the slightest bit of detail on this one here, just to kind of show versus what we just saw. The vertical line is probably too much. Oh, I missed ANTP leaving. Well, this is working pretty well right now, I think. This that last frame before it becomes a ball is not quite working. I feel like we might have like one too many frames here overall. Maybe I'll take this one out and try it without, even though it's a bit more sudden. Yeah, sudden works better sometimes. That's definitely an improvement. Can I use the same frames coming back out is the question. So I think this is going to need other levels of polish, like just rearranging the frame order here. Like having other white elements appear around blue as they teleport in and out, I think will be pretty important. But for the time being, like seems to work pretty well. And I think I can do a lot of that like in-engine in Godot. Rig up various little bits and bobs. What playlist is this? This is from, Purple Planet music. I picked a bunch of tracks for the video devlog that I did a while ago. And some of them are like maybe a little busy, but it's honestly, it's pretty good. Pretty good for like just chill work type stuff. Just getting a little bit of hydro there. Alright, so most of the stuff related to the idle animation, or sorry, the kind of ball teleport here, we will handle within the editor, sorry, the game engine itself. We've got a good little teleport set here. So, sleeping blue maybe? Sitting down, sleeping? I've got some fun ideas for other stuff too, but they're, I think, mostly secondary. Like if I have time, extra animations for like, you know, you're not using a mini-map during the boss fight, so what is mini blue doing during the boss fight, like stuff like that. But that's kind of like later on type polish, if and when I've got time, with all the content out of the way. So I think I want to find a frame from maybe the idle, maybe the hop here. Yeah. Okay, well first of all, let me steal this idle frame. Always like a good point of comparison, and I'm going to steal this hop down frame too. And let's make I don't know, sleepy, we'll call it a sleepy set. So start off, I want to use the same hat, not the hat from that kind of animated segment. Let's delete the legs, we'll redo the legs, and move blue down to a point where they reasonably could be considered kind of sitting and sleeping. I think that's about the right height for that. Back to too thick. So does that communicate properly that their legs are out? It's quite hard to do with the line style of this. You know, I could do that to show like one straight and one out, but it's still difficult overall. Like making it clear what is a line versus what is, or like what is like part of a different line versus what is not. Definitely should be a smaller shadow for that, but that's doable. I think I do need like that pixel there to show that the leg's kind of pointing out a little bit. Yeah, it doesn't look quite right to me. I'm wondering if the body might be not the right size. Like, is that related? This should be the right height in pixels, just like 4? Yeah, 4. Let's adjust the body a little bit, make sure I'm doing it evenly there. We should have the robes be like almost as long as possible, I would think. Like that even. That seems to be the cleanest so far. Let me unsymmetry it over here. Because presumably the robes will sit a little bit differently with one leg out and one leg not. Can you easily tell that the robes are at different points there is the question. Well, now that I've moved that around, maybe I'll play with the legs a little bit. Maybe there's a easier way to show the legs now. Yeah, that could be it. Zoom in on the head. That classic kind of sleepy look where your eyes are just kind of shown as wider. Do I also want them to be a little bit gray? Probably. Yes, if the character sits and then dozes off a little bit, could have that happen. This works fine as a sit. I guess they would sit with their eyes open first. Before they doze off. Need like a sitting, maybe a loop, and then idle to sit as this kind of larger loop here. I think we just want 2 frames into it. Maybe 3, maybe head down a pixel for a moment, and then 2 frames of just a ploop down, and then sitting. Let's have head down, hat down, character's kind of leaning down for a moment. Or do I keep those up and just have the eyes look down? That could be a better direction for this. Let's take a look. Blue looks down for a second. Then 2 frames of them like sitting or being about to sit, should the case be. I think I can take this hat for the sitting. Got nothing against redrawing the hat, but if it's not necessary, it's not necessary. So falling from above, that should be the right before frame into that. The head bounce could be too much. We'll have to see. once we get the body going. So let's have the cloak go out a pixel more for this. That. And perhaps even the body down here. That should be a dark pixel as well. That's a very abrupt sit animation. If the legs move a little bit too, does that make it any different, is the question. Slightly. Oh, even that single pixel shift really kind of pulls this together. Yeah. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. Okay, I am going to steal some more various frames from different things. So the tail of the hat should, yeah, the tail of the hat looks like it's moving separately now, which is great. It doesn't take too much to create that effect. You just want to have like the main part of the hat move separately in one frame, and then again in another frame. And like the differences between those two spots is all it's going to take to sell it. Also makes the legs look more like legs to kind of have just popped in here. We just need to do something slightly different with the coat. And I think that we're happy with that then. Maybe take this body frame. Should the body be out more for that? A little bit, a little bit. Okay, let's go back into symmetry mode. And there we are. I think we nailed the sitting, going from idle to sit. Just a little ploof. And I'm not too worried about getting up. I think that should actually be pretty well accomplished the first time you move. Maybe like one frame from going from sitting to idle or something like that. Take off the symmetry so you can kind of see it better. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Nice. A little more water. Okay, got a little bit of time to go a little bit further. We've saved up here. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do YouTube or Twitch as the main thing going forward. I'm kind of playing around with both to see. I've got a bunch of subscribers on YouTube, just from other stuff I posted, devlogs and stuff. Versus Twitch has like no discoverability, but I like that YouTube will archive these like forever, these videos, rather than 2 weeks or whatever on Twitch. But it's also fun on Twitch to play whatever I want instead of royalty-free music. Kind of the main upside to that format. I am not going to put a bot for a song request because the point of using royalty-free music is that I just don't have to deal with all the crap that comes with YouTube and aggressively kind of looking for legally owned music and all that stuff. I might even run into trouble with it just because it's so aggressive even with royalty-free music, honestly. But that is not what the streams are about. They're not for people to request their own music. We're just hanging out and I'm doing some art and chatting in the chat. Okay, so Blue's sitting here. Maybe we'll do a simple little sitting animation, something like that. Have their leg kind of pop out or something like that. Because that's sort of what people do is they flip their leg back and forth a little bit, right? I'm just sitting around. I don't think that quite reads as what I'm trying to make it read as. It does not, for sure. But we might be able to get there. The tricky thing, I think, mostly is the coat doesn't move. So I'm gonna steal that side of the coat to make it more clear, like something is moving on that side. What did I do there? I deleted something. Quickly undo. I think that gets across what I'm going for pretty well. This is a little bit weird that the edge of the coat doesn't move like that. Presumably the back part of the coat should slightly adjust. Maybe like that. there's more going on now. Does that translate into, you know, blue moving their leg around? I don't think the sideways turn of the leg is working very well. So let me try just having it be more about the leg moving. And I should link these frames quickly. Just for consistency there. And that looks a little bit weird. I don't think we want that. That's okay. It needs a little bit more life to it, but if I remove the hat and head for a second, I think as far as the body animation goes, that's probably fine. I'll just go ahead and clean up this layer with the elements that were hidden before. The hat, maybe the hat can like just tilt ever so slightly. I'm gonna go ahead and make the hat an off black color so it's a little bit easier to track for a moment. And I'm gonna use the rotation function. I'm not going to keep whatever it does. I'm just very curious to see what it shakes out. I'm going to have to hand animate anyways. I think that's okay as far as, what's it called? Like the actual hat elements look fine like that. So I'll keep those, and let's just only keep the stuff we want to keep here, which is actually going to be most of it. Just a few pixels here and there. Does seem a little skinny here, so we're gonna have to flesh that out a little bit, which I think is okay. Yeah, I think that's okay. And I'll just have the head also slightly tilt over when that happens. Okay, so now this hat is an in-between frame. Let's hide everything we're not using right now. And I do need something else just to be like the white of the background here. Okay. I'd like this to roughly be in between what we were doing before. So I'm going to try and draw like in between the previous black lines. Something like that. I should extend this background as well so it's not so janky flipping back and forth. I think that works okay. Turn off onion skinning. Sorry, just got a loud car going by. Turn our background back on. And that's our hat tipping back and forth. Oh, we've got a problem here in the hat needs one more pixel there. So with the body and legs, it looks okay. It's just the head that needs a little extra animation there. We'll just start this the messy way and then clean it up as we go. Just gonna move one pixel to the side, I think. I don't think that's quite right. This head doesn't look ideal for us. Shouldn't be thinner. Maybe the hat should be slightly out more. I think that's okay. I can see a few like kind of single pixels here and there that need like cleaning up a little bit. A little bit of asymmetry would be really nice here with what the head and the body are doing separately, so they're not like perfectly in sync. I'm trying to think if I like sit on the floor, do I kind of relax my legs or relax my head first? Well, first up, a lot of these frames need to be linked if they're not already. Specifically all of those. So we'll have the head tilt first, I think is what we're going to do. Head, leg, back. Leg still feels a little awkward. Try just a quick I don't think this is quite right for what I want to do here, to be honest. Head tilts, leg goes out. Should hold on that. Yeah, and then we'll just reverse it with the hat at the end. Back to the regular. And the hat's just going to lead by a frame, I think is how we're going to do it. So in theory, I think that's correct. Getting it all set up. That frame should be shorter, only one should be held at the start and end. I think that's better than simultaneous. Character should probably stand back up, but we want that to be really quick because the moment that you start moving again, we should just go back to idle without like a slow, you know, blink or whatever animation. So just 2 frames right at the end I think would be great. And is there kind of a clean frame to look at for contrast here? Possibly reuse this. And is there any stretched up? Let me look at the hop down animations. I don't think there's possibly I can reuse this animation if I adjust the height of the character up a little bit. I want them to be just a frame above. There. have I got this to be even the whole way through? I think so. Lazy just hanging out. One more frame, I think, is what we need here. One more frame after this one. That's like a getting settled kind of frame. Maybe we will try this. Yeah, we get kind of like a bounce back in. That's pretty fun. Okay, did not need to redraw every single frame there. That's always a nice little win. So I think I'll start to wind things down here. As usual, I'm hoping to sneak in a little bit of music, or like actual game music at the very end of the stream. But let's take a look at what we've kind of managed. So we've got Blue turning into a hat and coming back. We've got Blue turning into a little ball of light. The ball has its own little idle sequence as well. Lots of in-game animation rigging that's going to happen to that to help it look correct. And we've got Blue kind of sitting down, lazily flipping their feet around, and hopping back up to standing. And I think that all looks pretty good. So let me pause the kind of chill music there. And let's say I leave you with hat mode for now. And I'm just going to open up some music in the background and play us out with what's currently going on for the main final boss theme. So I'm going to play it. It's not crazy long. And then when it's done, stream is over. So let's... I still need to replace this break with an actually done kind of card. I'm just going to play us out, and thanks for joining, folks who joined. And here's some very high energy music coming up. Have a good one.